Hello, princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we are going to look at the latest addition to the Lawless Beauty Conceal the Deal Complexion products. This is the Conceal the Deal Full Coverage Concealer. I have tried the Conceal the Deal Foundation, which I like very much. It's a little bit too full coverage for me, just in terms of a foundation, but it's very good if you're wondering. And today I want to look at this brand new full coverage concealer. Now, most concealers claim to be full coverage. Who would want a concealer that isn't? Please give me a concealer that conceals nothing. Okay, so it ends up being the texture, and of course if it's buildable or not. So we are going to do a sort of wear test. I've been playing with it for the past few days. It's been here for a while, so I know a little bit about it. So we will do a bit of a wear test. I'll talk to you about how it wears. But mostly what we're going to do is talk about the formula and the feel. And the best way to know if you are going to like a concealer is to compare it to the formula of others. And after we do our demo in a moment, that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to create a little bit of a spectrum using the Pat McGrath as the thickest and the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric as the thinnest. And I'll tell you where it fits in that spectrum. It tends to be, if you like one side of the spectrum, you don't like the other in terms of concealer consistency, if that makes sense. You'll see as we go along. I got two shades in the brand new Lawless Conceal the Deal Full Coverage Concealer. That's a mouthful. I got the shades Shell and the shade Linen. So this is Shell and this is Linen. And you know what? They're both a little too light for me, but we're making them work just fine. I don't get too crazy about concealer shades. It's absolutely wonderful to have an accurate match, and no doubt I went too light on these. But with concealer, especially if you're using it sparingly, you can fix it up pretty easily. But for those of you that are light medium or whatever your skin tone is, please know that these do run a little lighter than I would have expected them to run. So what I want to do now is just show you me applying it. We're going to also go outside into the sunshine, warm California sunshine, so you can take a little look at the way this is sitting on my skin when it's just over foundation with no other makeup on. And then we are going to compare it to two oldies but goodies, but also a whole set of brand new concealers, so that you kind of know if you like one, you'll like this, etc., etc. Stay with me. We're going to get into all of it right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and give these a try. What I brought over are two different brushes from the Fusion collection by Sonia G. And of course I have two shades here, the Linen and the Shell. We're going to use the Linen under the eyes. I tend to need it right about here. I don't really have too much under here, but we'll run it under there and on the lid. And then we will use the Shell kind of here and around the redness on my nose. So let's give that a try with two different shades, starting first with Linen. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of dot it because this is full coverage. And this is, of course, a very light shade for me. So there it is, dotted there. Let's go ahead and just put it in on this side. And it is, like I said, very light. But so far, so good. And I have been playing with this a little bit, so I have a more educated opinion. After all, I've had it for some time. And that really brightens up my eyes. I don't think this is something I would use on the rest of my face as for my skin tone. This is a very, very light shade. I will switch brushes for the next, but I just kind of ran it under the eye and around, and it's really brightened up my eye area. Okay. And now we have Shell, which is a slightly deeper shade for around the nose, where I tend to get very red. I could also use this under the eyes as well. I prefer the brighter shade. Let's see where else we need it today. Here, I have a little mark of hyperpigmentation there. And then I've mentioned this before if you've watched my channel, I have these areas where the veins on the side of my eyes here show. You know, they don't bulge, thankfully, or anything like that, but they just show, like darkness. So I'm polka dot, what can I say? Okay, and then we'll use the other brush just to kind of blend circular motions. And I do like the feel of this. These shades are both very light for me. Theoretically, I could use the shell under the eyes and then go, really, I probably should, a tad bit darker for the rest of the face. But we're going to put other makeup on, so I'm mostly testing the formula. It looks like I probably need to get a bit more precise with the shades. But I find that especially with concealer, if it conceals, then actual makeup can do the rest of it. But to be honest, I will tell you that I probably need to perfect the shade choice a bit. It was online, so I did the best I could. Okay, I am going to put on the rest of my makeup and then show you what this looks like afterwards. But let me just really quickly step outside right now and just show you my face just as it is right now with just the base on, and I'll show you close up what it looks like on the eyes and around the mouth area, just so you can see that before I get some makeup on. I'll tell you a little bit more about this product. And then we are going to talk about some comparisons when we get right back. Okay, we're back, and I don't actually have to do a wear test with this because I have been playing with it for the past few days, and I find that it's no better and no worse. It hasn't replaced my all-time favorite concealer, but it's no better or no worse than most of the good ones on the market. In fact, I find it pretty competitive. I like it. I'm gonna use mine. It's not going in a back drawer. Now, as I said to you in the intro, I think the best way to categorize concealers is by comparing it to concealers that are of similar formula. So that's what we're gonna do now. I have a bunch of new concealers up here, but for reference, I have two tried and true favorites, okay? And they're older ones. They're the only two older concealers I'm going to use because they are on different sides of the spectrum. We're going to create kind of a concealer spectrum, and then I'm going to show you where this goes along the line, okay? To represent our thickest full coverage, we're going to use the Mcgrath Concealer. If you love this one, then I will tell you where this new Lawless Concealer falls along the spectrum. The Mcgrath Concealer, you have to use it very sparsely. It is very full coverage. It goes on very thickly. If you use it too much, it will crease. You have to be very sparing with it. The other side of the spectrum, we're going to bring out another oldie but a goodie just to make the sides of the spectrum, and that is the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric. Now, the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric is also meant to be full coverage, but it is a much thinner application, much more of a, for lack of a better term, watery texture. It is buildable. You can go ahead and go to town with using it and build it and, swipe it away with a brush, and it doesn't cake. It depends what you're trying to cover. Most concealers do a confusing thing where they describe themselves as full coverage, and then they kind of say medium consistency. So they're all over the place. Nobody wants a concealer that's not full coverage because we're trying to conceal, but not all of them are. It's a texture situation. And the Mcgrath is what we're going to use now to establish our thickest, and the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric is to establish our kind of thinnest and most pliable. The Lawless Concealer that we've tried is going to go more on the Giorgio Armani side of the equation. That means it is a thinner, more buildable concealer. Okay, so let's talk about some others. We have the KVD Good Apple. The KVD belongs much more on the Mcgrath side. It is thicker. You have to be a little bit more careful with how much you use. Now, before we do some more, where do I fall on this spectrum? Well, you'll know if you have watched this channel, my holy grail concealer that I will always recommend to everybody is the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric. That is why I like the Lawless. This Lawless Concealer is very good for me because it builds, it is thin, it is sheer, you can build it up. Now, while we're comparing some other foundations, see, so if you like KVD Good Apple and you like Mcgrath's concealer, chances are the Lawless won't feel thick enough or heavy enough or have enough coverage to your way of seeing it. Do you understand the way I'm doing that here? We have the Lys Concealer. This is also thinner but creases like crazy. And we have the brand new, the Lys is new, and we have the new Dior concealer, and that also is thinner but creases like crazy. So I don't recommend either of these, no matter where you fall on the concealer spectrum. I think the Lys and the Dior are just not good products. Then we have, somewhere in the middle here, we have the brand new Benefit Boing concealer, and we also have the brand new Tarte Power Flex. They're somewhere in the middle. I like both of them, which tells us they're probably on the thinner side, but they're a little bit more of a middle choice, these two. So to me, if you like the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric like I do, you will like the Lawless. Just be careful, the shades run a little pale. I don't really care if my concealer is a little too pale. I just warm it up with other products, but it looks like I did go a little too light with these shades, okay? Just so you know, it looks like both shades are a tad bit too light, but I'll use them before I buy more. It doesn't matter, you can warm it up. So again, if you love Pat McGrath, try the KVD. If you love Giorgio Armani Power Fabric, like I do, it has to specifically be the Power Fabric, by the way, then go ahead and give the Lawless a try. You will like it. And then, of course, we have other shades that are kind of in the middle of those. But I am really happy to answer any other questions. So again, with concealers, I really find that it's a texture and thickness thing, and if you like one, you won't like the other, etc. And this Lawless, I would take a pass on if you love the KVD and the Pat McGrath. Okay, but ask any questions below. Of course, I'm always open to them, and I can try to do some little swatches and such for you online. We'll see what we can do over on Instagram if you need any shade comparisons. If you're around my same shade and you're wondering what shade you should buy in the Lawless, okay? So definitely leave your comments below. I'm always interested in everything you have to say. Tell me what your favorite concealer is or concealer formula. Tell me what your favorite is, your holy grail, and what other ones you experiment with. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I sure hope you did. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of the upcoming fun. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.